All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to tackle something that honestly, we all think we know how to do, but most of us, we're getting it wrong. I'm talking about cutting your toenails. And, getting this one simple thing right can save you from a whole world of unnecessary pain.
So let me ask you, think you know how to cut your toenails? It sounds like a no-brainer, right? But believe it or not, the way most of us were taught to do this, it's actually the number one cause of a really common and really painful foot problem.
And don't just take my word for it. Foot and ankle specialists, they say this all the time. This simple, everyday task is a massive source of their business. We're not talking complex sports injuries filling up their waiting rooms. Nope. It's the fallout from a bad trim, and it all leads back to one very specific, very nasty condition.
Okay, so let's get right into it. Section 1, the way you're doing it wrong. We're going to uncover the hidden cause of those dreaded ingrown toenails. Yeah, let's break down that one huge mistake pretty much everyone makes. It's a technique that almost guarantees your nails start growing in the wrong direction, and that's where the trouble starts.
So here's the villain of our story, the ingrown toenail. It's exactly what it sounds like. The corner of your nail decides to grow into your skin instead of straight out. And let me tell you, it's painful, it can get infected, and the craziest part, it's almost entirely preventable. All right, so how do we stop this from happening? Well, step 1 is all about having the right gear. Let's move on to section 2, your essential toolkit, the right tools for a clean, safe cut. Okay, you really don't need a whole lot. We're just talking 4 key items here. But as you're about to see, each one of these plays a super specific, super important role in getting that perfect, safe cut. Now, here's where a ton of people trip up. You can't just grab any old clippers. Using those small, curved fingernail clippers on your toes, that is a recipe for disaster. See, your toenails are way thicker, and they need a bigger, stronger clipper with a straight edge to get a clean cut. Anything else is just going to tear or splinter the nail. And this leads me to a really simple but absolutely critical rule of thumb: keep M's separate. You need one set for your fingers and a totally different set for your toes. Why? Because using the same ones can spread bacteria and fungus between your hands and feet. Yeah, no, thank you. Okay, this next part is completely non-negotiable. Before every single time you use your tools, you gotta disinfect them. First, give them a good scrub with hot, soapy water to get off any gunk. Then let them soak in a disinfectant. Rubbing alcohol works great, for at least 10 minutes. After that, just rinse them off and let them air dry completely. This makes sure you're not introducing any nasty germs into the picture. Okay, our tools are clean, they're ready to go. So now it's time for the main event, the perfect cut. Let's get into the step-by-step technique, because this is the one part where almost everybody messes up. All right, this is it, the single most important rule you need to remember. You have to, and I mean have to, cut your toenails straight across. Do not, I repeat, do not follow the curve of your toe. See, when you cut in a curve like you do on your fingernails, you're basically inviting the edge of the nail to dig right into your skin as it grows. A straight cut forces it to grow forward away from the skin. Simple as that. So, right about now, you're probably thinking, wait a minute, won't that leave sharp corners that'll snag on my socks? Totally fair question, but the answer is not to clip those corners off. Instead, just grab a nail file, an emery board works perfectly, and gently smooth out those edges. A tiny bit of rounding with a file is all you need. So, how short do you actually go? Well, you never, ever want to cut off the entire white tip of the nail. The sweet spot is leaving about 1 to 2 millimeters of it. If you go any shorter, you're risking damage to that really sensitive skin underneath, the nail bed. So, what's the schedule look like? How often do you have to do this? Well, since your toenails only grow about 1 to 2 millimeters a month, you really only need to do a full trim every 6 to 8 weeks. That's it. In between, you can do a little light filing once a week just to keep the edges smooth and maintain that perfect length. Okay, but what if your nails are, extra tough? Maybe they're really thick or hard to cut. Just trying to force it is a bad idea. The clippers could slip and you could get hurt. So let's look at how to adapt our technique for this pretty common problem. This is one of those times where the standard advice gets totally flipped on its head. For regular nails, yeah, you want to cut them when they're dry because they're less likely to bend or tear. But if you have thick, tough nails, soaking is your best friend. Popping your feet in some warm water for 10 minutes or more is essential. It softens the nail right up, making it so much easier and safer to cut. So besides soaking, there are a couple of other little tricks. First, after you soak,
make sure your feet and nails are totally dry before you start cutting. You don't want anything to slip. Second, instead of one big cut, make several small, straight cuts across the nail. And you might even want to look into getting some heavy-duty medical-grade clippers. They can make a huge difference. Now look, doing all this stuff at home can prevent a ton of issues, but it's also really, really important to know when to, well, stop. You need to recognize when a problem is bigger than a DIY fix, and you need to call in a professional.
So, if you see any of these warning signs, your next move should be to call a podiatrist. Seriously, don't try to be a hero and treat a suspected infection or a really bad ingrown toenail on your own. Reoccurring problems, nails that are getting thick and crumbly, which could be a sign of fungus, or any weird discoloration, those are all signs that it's time to see a doctor.
So at the end of the day, this tiny little task, cutting your toenails, it seems so insignificant, right? But it's a huge part of your long-term health. I mean, think about it. Your feet are going to carry you for over 75,000 miles in your lifetime. That's like walking around the earth 3 times. A few minutes of proper care every couple of months? That seems like a pretty small price to pay for that incredible journey, doesn't it? Thanks for watching.